Okay. Let me go ahead and share this. Share this with the people in the audience. Okay. Please share the stream. Hopefully we get some people in here. Okay. All right. So it's my I haven't done the stream in a long time. It's been a very, very long time. So yes, I understand. Okay, here we are. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna go share this right now. Boom. We got the first like. Okay. Okay. Boom. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. So let me go ahead and share this. Okay. Okay. From ISIS leader to ally. Okay, that's obviously not going to work here. Okay. Just give us a moment here. Bear with us. Bear with me. We'll be right. We'll be right here. There we go. So just wait for some people here. Give me 1 second here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Ahmed Al-Shara, Jolani, one that we like to call Julani. Okay. So, this guy is the former deputy of Al Qaeda, second in command. He was the leader of ISIS in Syria and Iraq. He was the founder of Jabhat al-Nusra Front in Syria, and this guy is he's literally a head chopping terrorist. So now we have this situation where allegedly, according to the 3-star flaggers, which I like to call them, they say that Syria is free. Okay, so there's religious and ethnic minorities being gunned down and slaughtered on a daily basis. Meanwhile, Syria is free. There's one of the top 2 water sources to the Syrian people is now controlled by Israel, but Syria is free. Okay, so these 3-star flaggers have been caught up in this this delusion that Syria is somehow free, and now they're spreading it everywhere, and even Donald J. Trump himself has even came in on the good ends and said, "Oh, young and handsome and attractive young man, strong past, strong guy, tough guy, same guy that beheaded U.S. Marines and paraded around on video. Yes, that guy, young and attractive and handsome." This is where we're at today. This is the state of American, geo diplomacy. shaking hands with head chopping terrorists. Okay. Oh, he was a terrorist then, but he's our ally now. All right. And what did Jolani say the first day or second day he got into power? He said, "Oh, Israel and the United States is not our enemies. No, no, never. Syria will never be used as a platform again to attack Israel. In fact, our enemy is Iran, Hezbollah, and pro-Assadis. That's the enemies of Jolani and all his hooligans. Okay, so it's not Israel and America who just dropped 525 airstrikes in Syria within 48 hours after December 8th. No, no, they're not the enemy at all. The enemy is Iran and Hezbollah. So this is where we're at. So now people are under this delusion that Syria is in fact free, being ruled over by jihadist terrorists, ISIS head choppers, the same ones that committed a massacre amongst the Yazidis, right? During Ramadan, they had the Yazidi women as sex slaves, and then they burnt them all alive, in a cage in public for people to see. This is ISIS, taking women as sex slaves in broad daylight, kidnapping them, cutting water and electricity to non-Sunni neighborhoods, right? If you're an Alawite, you're fucked. If you're Christian, you're fucked. If you're a Jew, you're fucked. Even some Sunnis are fucked because, and excuse my French, because they can't even, if they try to resist or stand up or question, or criticize these hooligans, ruling and how they rule, they'll get killed too. So like I said, I should have probably planned this live stream, but it is what it is. I just did this out the fuck of it. So how is it that America and Americans, the former U.S. military servicemen and active duty, can just sit at home and be okay with this terrorist being flown into Washington, D.C., brought into the White House? I mean, hell, they already brought him to New York. They already let him speak in front of the United Nations. And within 19 hours after Jolani speaking at the United Nations, his general security forces, which is ISIS, Al-Qaeda, went around and slaughtered dozens of young men in Homs and in the Dar countryside. It went around just as a way to celebrate that their terrorist daddy, Jolani, is being accepted amongst the rest of the world. People like us will never accept Jolani because we know who Jolani is, a terrorist. Right? Anybody that's screaming Syria is free, these 3-star flaggers, they're more than likely radicals and support this terrorist, Jolani, and all his terrorist hooligans. Syria is not free. In fact, Syria is going through a silent genocide as we speak. People their homes are being raided. They're just being mercilessly gunned down, openly in the streets, beheaded, children, women. It doesn't matter. This is what terrorists do. That's how terrorists are always going to behave. So for this to be happening, with the massacre that happened on the coast of Latakia, just nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about the tens of thousands of people that was murdered in one weekend by these ISIS hooligans. But Syria is free. Right? So now Jolani coming here to DC is giving more legitimization to this fucking terrorist and to all his hooligans. Well, why should Americans be subservient to this? Well, why? Well, Jolani, he was part of Al-Qaeda, the CIA, Mossad created thing, and then ISIS, more Mossad, fundings. Israel funded and armed 12 different rebel groups inside Syria from 2014 to 2017. Israel built field hospitals for these terrorists. Right? They built field hospitals for them. Netanyahu went and visited these terrorists during the civil war crisis in Syria when they were trying to take out Syria the first time for 14 years. It took them 14 years, but they got it done. Because Syria is the 6th out of those 7 nations that must be destroyed and are destabilized, taken over, overthrown, and occupied by military force. So they can take their resources and make them part of this greater Israel project. You see, this is what's happened. Jolani was just the perfect asset to be utilized to allow Israel's greater expansion project to take place. And now you see that happening. And when it comes to Lebanon and Hezbollah and Israel actually agreed to a ceasefire December 7th, 2024. What happened 24 hours after that? What took place 24 hours after Israel and Hezbollah agreed to a ceasefire. Well, guess what? Those same jihadists, those same terrorists that Netanyahu visited in the field hospitals, all right? He gave them a call. He said, hey, Assad has to go. Well, guess what? In 72 hours, they're up in arms. They got their guns, their cars. They're ready to go. They came with a whole freaking brigade of terrorists. Now Syria's jihadi international. You got jihadists coming from all over the map, coming to Syria to unite under this caliphate, which is what they call it, where people are being taken in broad daylight to be sex slaves. Religious and ethnic minorities are being gunned down, being beheaded, recorded, and then these guys are screaming Allahu Akbar. All right? And for this guy Jolani to be brought and paraded around in the streets of America, it goes to show the levels of diplomacy that America has fallen to. I mean, this is nothing different in American foreign policy. You fund terrorists, you fund jihadists, you give them arms, you give them weapons, you give them a state, you give them a country, and let them do their thing. People get beheaded, let them do their thing. And at the same time, what happened on New Year's? What happened on New Year's in New Orleans, in Las Vegas? An alleged terrorist attack by ISIS members. What does ISIS have any business doing here in America? Unless they're brought in here by America. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So here's what makes it even more, here's what makes this even more sickening, even more disrespectful to all Americans. Jolani, Ahmed al-Shara, I'll never recognize him as president, okay? This guy is being brought to the White House to meet with U.S. officials for whatever fucking reason the day before Veterans Day. Imagine that. The day before Veterans Day, let's bring in this former Al-Qaeda, a deputy commander, former leader of ISIS, former founder of Jabhat al-Nusra Front, right? The same guy who beheaded U.S. Marines. Let's bring him to D.C., right, and the nation's capital, and parade him around as our jihadi golden gem. This is America. This is America. Okay? This is sad. So as an American, anybody that's watching that's an American, you should be infuriated and pissed off that your president and commander-in-chief, even though the commander-in-chief is actually Benjamin Netanyahu, but the elected president, Donald J. Trump, is going to meet, sit down, shake hands, and have whatever type of dialogues they're going to have with Jolani, a terrorist. People say, oh, have some respect. He's president of Syria. How? Who elected him? Who put him in power? Israel, Turkey, America, a couple Warhol bombs? Come on now. So the day before Veterans Day, let's bring in this jihadist who slaughtered tens of thousands, probably was responsible for hundreds of thousands of people being massacred and slaughtered throughout the region during this ISIS uprising. And now they're given a country. They're given a whole fucking country. And look, it only took them 72 hours. It only took these 3-star flaggers and these Syrian revolutionaries 3 days for them to take power and take over Syria. And then now they're going to go and liberate Al-Aqsa. Really? When they sat and watched for 14 months, watched Gaza get obliterated by Israel. And meanwhile, Syria was the vital artery, a vital corridor in the backbone of the axis of resistance to get supplies and equipment into Gaza and its fight for liberation and its resistance against Israel and to the other resistance factions in Lebanon. Okay? So Jolani and all these HTS hooligans being put in power right there in Syria, and for them to take over the day after a ceasefire is agreed between Israel and Hezbollah, which Israel, by the way, has violated 4,500 plus times. Fact checked me. Israel has violated the ceasefire that agreed to with Hezbollah on December 7th 4,500 plus times. Okay, but Israel wants peace. Yeah, they want a piece of Lebanon, they want a piece of Syria, they want a piece of Iraq, they want a piece of Saudi Arabia, they want a piece of Egypt. Of course they want peace. Israel has bombed 9 countries in the last 2 years defending itself. Of course it wants peace. Of course it wants peace. Fucking insane. So, okay, okay. So again, as an American, if you're watching this, now I might cap this at 30 minutes, right? I'm gonna just rant for 30 minutes. My apologies here. It's just me, you know. So I cannot come to understand these 3-star flaggers and the delusions that they're living in, unless they are actually all terrorists. At this point, anybody that supports Jolani, anybody that recognizes him and actually calls him President al-Shara, I feel like you're legitimizing and normalizing with terrorists and radical Salafi jihadis. 100%. I'm a Shia Muslim. If they had it their way, they would hunt me down first. They would hunt me down first. They beheaded an 8-year-old boy the first chance they got. There's been countless beheadings that's been happening in Syria of Alawites and Christians, people who are not Sunni, right? Under this Jolani regime. And then these 3-star flaggers will say, oh, those are pro-Assadists. An 8-year-old child is a pro-Assadist and must be beheaded because he's an Alawi, right? This is the new Syria. And this is the Syria that is the new ally of America. Oh, we got to get rid of Bashar al-Assad. Why is that? What was so wrong with Bashar al-Assad as president of Syria? What was so wrong? What was so harmful about having Bashar al-Assad? Well, Bashar al-Assad, for one, never abandoned the people of Gaza, never abandoned the Palestinian resistance, the resistance in its entirety. Syria was the backbone of it. Bashar al-Assad never normalized with Israel, right? Assad would, if it wasn't for Assad, right, resisting is this, being attacked for 14 years by 82 different countries, with the whole might of NATO and the West and all the terrorists that wanted to volunteer. It took them 14 years. Other leaders fell, some of them in 3 years. And look at their countries now. Is Syria gonna Syria should be the reason World War III starts, in my opinion. Turkey, backstabbers. The GCC countries, backstabbers. All fraudulent filth. Fraudulent filth, representing some type of ummah. Bunch of backward terrorist barbarians. That's what they've always been. That's what they always will be. Excuse me for sounding so emotional about this, but I have people over there I can't even communicate with anymore. I don't know if they're alive because they're being ruled by fucking jihadist terrorists who wants to behead everybody because they're not a fucking Sunni. And this is the guy that Trump wants to bring to America and the White House and parade around as some fucking champion and some freaking freedom fighter. The same guy that beheaded U.S. soldiers. Oh, he's changed. He was going through a phase. He was young, misguided. He was chopping heads and raping people. But no, he's president of Syria now, so let's give him a pass. Let's give him a slap on the wrist. Let's lift the sanctions. Let's give him money. Well, look, he already surrendered all of Syria's oil to Trump. We didn't even have to fire a missile. We didn't have to send a freaking platoon. We didn't have to send no air fucking carrier strike group. He said, oh, you can have it. You can have all of the oil. So what would be the actual reasons they're meeting on Monday? The day before Veterans Day. Let's bring in a terrorist in D.C. to sit down and talk, diplomacy and joint collaborations possibly in the future, right, with the guy that beheaded U.S. soldiers. And let's do that the day before Veterans Day, on the 250th anniversary. How more obvious is it that the American government, the current American regime, is anti-American? It should be more obvious than ever. If you're an American soldier, if you're an American former military serviceman, or if you have family that served, this should infuriate you. This should make you see exactly what you are dealing with and who you are being ruled under by people who don't give a fuck about you, your country, your nation, or I mean, come on. Because of the desire and the eagerness to protect the Jewish people and to help maintain Israeli and Western hegemony in that region, they're saying fuck whatever priorities you think you're supposed to have as an American. That doesn't matter. We have to go support Israel and make sure that. Hey, what's up, everybody? What up, brother? It doesn't matter what you think or what you criticize. If you criticize what we're doing, you're an anti-Semite. How could you criticize Israel expanding its borders? How could you criticize Israel building 9 permanent bases inside of Syria? How could you criticize Israel bombing southern Lebanon, not even southern Lebanon, even deep inside of Beirut, bombing Lebanon 4,500 plus times? How could you criticize that? I had a song lyric there. How could you? How could you criticize that? Unless you're an anti-Semite and you want all Jews to perish. So this is the psyop that we're caught up in. We can't, as Americans, we can't even criticize our own government's, foreign interference with other nations, which is actually undermining our own interests. So yeah, you can't. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. This is the predicament that we find ourselves in. So yeah, let's bring in the former ISIS leader, the founder of Jabhat al-Nusra, who was responsible for the slaughter and massacring of innocent people throughout Syria, Iraq, and even parts of Yemen at times when ISIS was out there. But he's changed. We helped him overthrow Assad. Assad is gone. So now let's work with our jihadi, our new jihadi puppet, Ahmed al-Shara, Jolani. This is the biggest fuck you to all Americans, if you ask me. Okay, so Jolani must be brought in and brought amongst the people and paraded around as this new freedom fighter boy, this new president of Syria, who's going to help maintain Western hegemony in the region. We're building an air base. We're going to take over the air base in Damascus. Yeah. So there's no threat from Syria to America or Israel, right? There's no threat because Jolani, he allowed them to do whatever. Take Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is the most military strategic, vital point of location to have in that region. And Israel took it. They didn't even have to, they had no resistance at all. They have Mount Hermon. They have the main 2 water sources of Syria. Israel controls it now. So now the people of Syria are not only at the mercy of jihadist head choppers and barbarians who want to freaking rape and pillage and say, they're building a caliphate, right, with Turkish money in their pocket. And now not only they're at the mercy of these fucking terrorists, but now they're at the mercy of Israeli terrorists. The same Israelis that's been committing a genocide for the last 2 years in Gaza and carrying out a massive bombing campaign across Lebanon with nobody to stop them. But I mean, Hezbollah was a resistance front, and Hezbollah still is abiding by the ceasefire from December 7th, 2024. Hezbollah is still abiding by the ceasefire. How many times has Israel violated it? Again, I'll say it again. I know I sound repetitive, but sometimes you have to push these points home. 4,500 plus violations since December 7th. And again, what took place after December 7th? The day after, December 8th? Here comes freaking HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the new revamped and rebranded version of ISIS, coming to liberate Syria. From who? Liberate Syria from what? From Israel? Because the first 72 hours, HTS took power and ousted Bashar al-Assad. 525 airstrikes was dropped in Syria. And the United States Air Force themselves even participated and dropped a tactical nuke in Tartus. A B-61 tactical nuke was dropped in Tartus, Syria, within the first 72 hours of Assad being ousted. So America, we dropped our own 75, and Israel, they dropped their own 450 in 72 hours. It was Israel's largest aerial bombing campaign in their entire illegitimate 77-year existence. But somehow Bashar al-Assad was an Israeli puppet, right? Assad was in cahoots with Netanyahu. Assad was in cahoots with Israel. Do people not know the story of Eli Cohen? How Mossad is so amazing and gifted at infiltration, deception, and putting double agents and triple agents, quadruple agents everywhere? What do you think was happening from 1982 to 1998? For 16 years, we were cracking down on a national Israeli spy syndicate of Mossad in America, stealing our nuclear secrets, stealing our state vital security assets, selling it to the Soviets at the height of the Cold War. This is all Israel is known for. So why would it be any different when it came to Syria? Why would it be any different? This same lion of Syria and champion of resistance and liberation for oppressed people, Bashar al-Assad, was being painted at for 14 years, billions of dollars of lies and propaganda and of this war machine of the West was fueled and funneled to take out Bashar al-Assad, to paint him as a butcher. He butchered 4, 5, 600,000 people. I'm surprised they didn't say 6 million. Right? The HTS jihadist ISIS terrorists in Syria now, have they liberated the 6 million in Soweto yet? I want to know. It's always 6 million this, 6 million that, 6 million this. They never fucking stop with their lies. And excuse my French. My apologies. I need to be more well-mannered here. Okay? But like I said, it's been a while since I live streamed, and it's a little of the emotion behind this, because I am an American. Right? I know you see my Haitian flag. Yes, I have Haitian ancestors. I have Levantine roots that I'm proud of. But I am against terrorism, and I am against my country supporting terrorists who chop heads and rape and murder. And then they're supporting the same ones in Israel, and they're supporting the ones now in Syria. What a fucking mess. So yeah, there you have it. That's my quick 30-minute rant on this. I'll get back into doing the state of the world vlogs. I know that's something I always used to do, but it's been a long time since I've done that. But Americans, you need to know this. Your leaders, your politicians, your president, Donald Trump, not Netanyahu, because I know Netanyahu is actually the president, but your leaders are in cahoots and allied with jihadists, terrorists, Salafis, radicals who are only helping push the greater Israel project, right? There's no, there's no ISIS boogeyman coming here in America. The ISIS boogeyman was created by America. Okay, now, and Israel never had beef with ISIS. Okay, in fact, Israel helped maintain ISIS, help them remain secure, help them remain safe. Forget the field hospitals that Israel built for ISIS. Israel put it within their military policy to make sure that ISIS is not defeated. Because if ISIS was to be defeated in Syria, that would leave Israel in a hard place. So ISIS was a necessary deterrent to be used against Iran, Hezbollah, and Assad. This is Israeli military policy that they followed through on 100%. And guess what? They had Turkey helping out too. Even in the words of Benjamin Netanyahu at the Jewish National freaking conference thing several months ago. He said, oh, yes, we were with the blessing of Turkey. Turkey provided their blessings to help Israel, call on their jihadist boyfriends to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. So yeah, this free Syria nonsense by these 3-star flaggers, these Syrian revolutionaries, a lot of these people live in the West. A lot of them live in fucking the UK, Denmark, Canada, freaking America, even in DC. And then they're waving their 3-star flag saying Syria is free. These people need to be put on a watch list. Fuck it. No, I'm not even kidding. Anybody that was waving a 3-star flag, and yelling, oh, Syria is free, Jolani freed Syria, you need to be put on a watch list. That's it, in my opinion. Okay, the same guy that beheaded U.S. Marines, right, held the head of U.S. soldiers. There's pictures of him. Look it up. You can find it on X. You'll find it somewhere. All right, there's pictures of Ahmed al-Shara, the president of Syria right now, right, who I will never recognize as president. He's a terrorist. There's pictures of him holding the heads of U.S. Marines and soldiers that he beheaded. That same guy is being brought in to the White House on Monday, a day before Veterans Day, on the 250th anniversary. As an American, that should upset you. That should upset you. And again, I will say this again. Anybody that supports al-Shara or Jolani or pushes the narrative or some rhetoric that Syria is somehow free, right, and turns a blind eye to the genocide that is happening against Alawites, Christians, and non-Sunnis and ethnic minorities, you need to be put on a watch list. You need to be put on a watch list. You Syrian revolutionaries that live in Canada, that live in Denmark, in Germany, in France, in Switzerland, and in America, you are not the voice of the Syrian people. You are not the voice of the Syrian people who have no internet and electricity right now because they're not fucking Sunnis, or because they're against the policies of the general security forces in Syria, which is ISIS 2.0, Al-Qaeda 2.0. They wear the same paraphernalia that ISIS did back in 2012 and 2011 when they were going around slaughtering, raping, and blowing themselves up. The same ones. Nothing's changed about them. The only things that's changed is that they got a freaking haircut and now they're wearing a fucking suit. Shit's fucking crazy. But yeah, that's my 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Share the live stream. I see got more people here. Yeah. I'm going to stay. We got some people in. I'm going to stay. Fuck it. I'll go for another 15. So yeah, regime change. Yeah, this regime, listen, Sudan, Somalia, Afghanistan, Libya, freaking Iraq, Iran, Syria. These are the 7 countries that General William Henry Clark said, right? That these 7 North African, Middle Eastern countries to be destabilized, overthrown, invaded, and occupied. Iran's the last one left. So now, and here's the thing, had Bashar al-Assad not been taken out and ousted, Israel would have never had the nerve or audacity or capability to attack Iran or to stage or prepare for an attack on Iran. It would have never happened. It would have never happened. Yeah, Israel was able to indiscriminately bomb Syria here and there and get away with it, bombing the consulate buildings, bombing embassies, bombing, generals and targeting them inside of Syria, just saying fuck their sovereignty and their territorial integrity. Israel doesn't give a fuck about anybody's sovereignty or territorial integrity. Look what they did to JFK. Look what they did to Charlie Kirk. Look what they did to the USS Liberty, June 8th, 1967. 58 years, no justice. 58 years, no congressional reports, no testimonies, no freaking, none of that. They just write it off. Oh, it was an accident. Oh, blame it on Egypt. So yeah, Israel is free to do whatever it wants. And whoever's borders, whoever's territory, international or not, they're not, international law doesn't apply to Israel. Yes, exactly. Justice for the USS Liberty, 100%. 58 years later, there needs to be payback for that. And talking about the USS Liberty, that was the only time the United States military was directly attacked and never responded. I mean, Pearl Harbor, freaking, 9/11, even though we know who was responsible and had hands in 9/11. I mean, bro, it was death and destruction for everybody, right? But when U.S. military servicemen and U.S. sailors get attacked and bombed for about 3 to 4 hours, some say 47 minutes, some testimonies from survivors said they were attacked for 4 hours straight. They said the first 2 hours they were attacked by jets, and then they came back with ships and gunner ships, like gunner boats. It was like they were trying to sink the ship. The people that jumped off and survived lived to tell the story. So it's like, how is it that we just said, forget, our U.S. soldiers that were attacked in international waters, but when you see exactly what's, like, come on, I don't want to go too deep into this, but yes, 58 years later, still no justice. But somehow Israel is America's greatest ally. Oh, our greatest ally. When have they ever been there for us? When they have they ever done reconnaissance to take our troops out of somewhere? When have they ever provided airdrops for our troops somewhere? No, we're always there for them. We're always there for them. Hey, there we go. Mayor of Baltimore, I like that. Inshallah. So I feel like I'm ranting, but sometimes ranting is necessary, to at least get people intrigued into what's happening here. So what's happening here is our U.S. government, U.S. elected officials, the political, institutions, they've all just been usurped, hijacked, and compromised for Israeli interests. And Israeli interest is essentially the Greater Israel Project. Like Donald Trump said during his RNC acceptance speech, he said, if you look at Israel on the map, it's so tiny. It's really, really small. Well, I think we should make it bigger. That was from the words of Donald Trump before the elections. And then a few nights before that, Kamala Harris, she said, even if America was burning down to the ground, making sure Israel can defend itself would be our top priority. That's what she said. So you had your Democratic candidate saying that even if America was burning down to the ground, making sure that Israel can defend itself will be our top priority. We're not putting out the fire. And Donald Trump said, look, if you look at Israel on the map, it's tiny. It's really, really small. Well, I think we should make it bigger, which means they are fully 100% in accordance with the Greater Israel Project and Israeli expansion, no matter whose border it encroaches on. They let you know straight up. They're not hiding anything from you. In fact, The only reason the Greater Israel Project didn't start sooner, back in 2020, in my opinion, is because Donald Trump wasn't elected. He was making preparations to annex the West Bank as far as back as 2017. December 6, 2017, he declared Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. You know, so all this was in preparations for what's happening now. The only reason this happened is the only reason it didn't start 4 years ago is Donald Trump wasn't elected 4 years ago, right? So now he's put in office. They got Mariam Adelson. They got the little golden boy, right? Little orange man who's gonna do and push for Israeli expansion. So now they want to disarm Hezbollah. They want to disarm Hezbollah, and they want to threaten the Lebanese government and the Lebanese nation to allow Israel. They bombed the fuck out of Lebanon about 2 hours ago. Bombed the fuck out of Lebanon, southern Lebanon. So they want to hold the Lebanese people hostage, not the Hezbollah. Freaking America and Israel want to hold them hostage and say, oh, you need to disarm yourselves, you know, so we can come and kill you and invade you. But if you don't do that, we're going to come in and kill and invade you anyways. It doesn't make sense. And then you have Jolani over there in Syria, the HTS hooligans. If HTS is disarmed, what do you think? If Hezbollah is disarmed, if Hezbollah is disarmed and puts down their arms, what do you think HTS is going to do? And what do you think Israel is going to do in the south? The people are going to be left like guinea pigs, and they're going to come and slaughter them. HTS and all those Salafi radical head choppers, it would be their wet dream to rain down in Lebanon with no Hezbollah able to protect the people. It would be a wet dream for these fucking Salafis. It would be a wet dream for them to go and slaughter more Shias, as they're doing in Syria right now. And then people all say, oh, Hamas needs to surrender arms. What happened when the PLO surrendered arms? They went into the West Bank. You know, I mean, come on now. Now they're the PA, and now they're freaking foot soldiers for the IDF. You know, so like they always want everyone to. Why can't Israel lay down its arms? Why can't Israel stop bombing people? Why can't Israel stop sniping children? Huh? Y'all know. So yeah, man. Thank you for everybody that joined me here. I really, really appreciate it. You're more than welcome to leave a super chat if you enjoyed it. You know, whatever. But that's not what I'm here for. I should have done this a long time ago, honestly. But it's just we're busy. We're active on multiple platforms. We're active on X. We're active here. We're active there. You know, but this can't be condoned or tolerated anymore. Where we are like literally like helping terrorists. Not only helping the terrorist state of Israel, but now actually helping legitimate jihadist terrorists who are committing genocide amongst their own people. And then you're going to be brought in here and championed as a freedom fighter. Well, why was Assad so bad? Why was Bashar al-Assad so bad? Was Christians and Alawites getting dragged in the streets to crawl on all fours before they're gunned down? Was that happening under Bashar al-Assad? Was Christian women being taken as sex slaves under Bashar al-Assad in broad daylight? People at least had some sovereignty. But now they're being ruled by ISIS, and now there's some freaking this Sunni radical caliphate, and they want to kill and murder everyone. And that's your free Syria? As Israel builds 9 permanent military bases in Syria? As they take in more than 500 square kilometers of land in Syria? I mean, it's just I don't know. And another thing, a lot of these Americans, liberals, conservatives, just whatever side of the aisle they're on, they always tend to say this, oh, Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. But they forget to mention the fact that Iran, you know, actually, with Russia, fought against ISIS elements in Syria. How many Syrian towns they liberated in 2017 from these radical head choppers, these fucking barbarians. But Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. I still hear congressmen and senators say that Iran that Al Qaeda is a proxy of Iran. So my Americans, please do not be bamboozled. Do not be led astray. Do not believe the bullshit nonsense coming from your senators, your congressmen, and your House representatives saying that Al Qaeda or ISIS is a proxy of Iran. Al Qaeda and ISIS is a CIA created entity that was used to push Israeli expansion and Israeli interests in the region. Point blank period. Point blank period. Read it and weep. You hear what the person said down there. You read it. Iran protects Christians and minorities, and Hezbollah as well. It's Hezbollah that was protect. There's Christians in Hezbollah. There's Christians that are members of Hezbollah that went to protect it. If you see a layout on a map and just see the trajectory and the timeline of Israel's attacks in Lebanon, they're carrying out a holy war on Christianity. Lebanon holds the most ancient, holiest sites of Christianity, places where Jesus, peace be upon him, turned water into wine. Right? This is the place that Israel has been bombing endlessly for the last 2 years, for the whole world to see. Not just the last 2 years. They've been carrying their genocidal, oppressive apartheid regime for the last 77 years. And now they just have more support to do it. More leeway, more enablement, more entitlement because of their freaking the Holocaust. Because of the Holocaust, now we can't criticize Israel. We can't criticize Israel's oppressive and terrorist approach to diplomacy. If Israel doesn't have an enemy, how do they exist? Hello, thank you for joining. Thank you. If Israel doesn't have an enemy, how can they exist? So that's why they have to. There's always, even if the Palestinians even if they were to displace all the Palestinians and send them to, like, let's say freaking Spain or Ireland or something, they're going to declare war on Ireland and Spain and say, oh, they're going to carry out an October 7th from Ireland and Spain. Israel's never gonna cease fire. It's not within their compartment. It's not something they know to cease fire. They just can't. If they cease fire, then they don't exist. and essentially, if that makes sense, But like, for Israel to exist, they have to continue to have an enemy, and someone's always trying to kill them. You just gotta stop killing people. Stop killing people. Stop overthrowing regimes of your neighbors, and then installing terrorist factions in there who will allow you to come in and take land. Everything that Israel does is just not congruent with living in a community with everyone else. Israel has lost its right to exist as a state amongst the rest. They never really had the right in the first place. That's even according to Judaism. But that's for another live stream, where I break down the illegitimacy of Zionism, the Zionist discrepancy. Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism, and the state of Israel does not represent all Jews worldwide. Right? This is a fallacy that must be understood, even by all these evangelicals in America. They say, oh, Israel's the land of the Jews. When and where and how? A Jew that lives in America, or a Jew that may live in Australia, or a Jew that lives in Russia, well, Israel does not bring them together. The only thing that brings them together is their Torah, not Israel. Israel is the Israeli state, the Zionist state, not the Jewish state. This is something that must be understood, man. So yeah, like I said, that's for another live stream. I can't not just gonna mumble jump a bunch of topics here, but yeah, I think I've gone a little far here. Thank you for the 5 to 6 people that tuned in, and I'll start doing this more regularly. To talk about this stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to go on my own little rant about the United States and President Trump being allied to terrorists, former ISIS leaders, former Al Qaeda leaders. These are their terrorists that we created, essentially. So, but yeah, thank you so much for streaming in. If you missed the early part of the live stream, you can rewatch it. And thank you so much. God bless, and free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congo, and free Syria, 100%, and free America from Zog. All right, America is occupied as well by Zionists, and we have to free America. We have to free the world from Zionism. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day.